That's right. It is the morning show right here on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Live, LinkedIn, as well as where else are we at? Apple TV and on SoundCloud, KMT 1490 AM. We're going to be joined by our radio audience just around the corner. First of all, we got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Jesse, how you kicking it up over there?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing good. Long weekend, at least for me it was. It was an interesting one. La Femme Film Festival 2020. It was all where it was at. And I got to say, Jesse, you know, when it comes to films, there's a lot of really good independent films out there. And I feel that they just haven't gotten their day in the sun. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So if you haven't already, go like La Femme Film Festival, and they're on Facebook, on Twitter, same thing, and go support. I know we're talking, you know, it's interesting, Jesse, because a lot of the filmmakers were super happy that we were still able to have a film festival. Again, this is the 16th year. I've been a part of it, I want to say about a total of 8 years or so, and we've been broadcasting live ever since I ever started. I remember it was a very early. I was an early adopter of 4G. Do you remember that when 4G came out versus 3G? And I was like, ooh, we could stream live from a location, right? So I used to like buy the expensive equipment to broadcast, and the La Femme Film Festival was one of the first ones to ever say, you know what, let's try that out with you. And I remember interviewing people like from The Matrix, and they brought in just some really cool actors and actresses into this film festival. But that was at the Regal Cinema at LA Live. And so fast forward, you know, a lot of the filmmakers put a lot of time, a lot of effort into these films, and they know, because they're not big budget, not blockbuster, right? They know that the only way for people to really see it before it gets hopefully any distribution is in a film festival. They can't wait to get, you know, awards and or recognized or have people see it on the big screen. So I felt bad because we had a lot of conversations with these women filmmakers, by the way, the majority, and they were honestly very sad about the pandemic that we find ourselves in. We had people from Paris tuning in. We had people from Europe tuning in. We had people from France. We had people from Canada and other parts of the U.S., East Coast, West Coast, and everything in between. And I got to say, Jesse, you know, I feel bad for the filmmakers, especially the women filmmakers that are trying to make some really good films. So I don't know about you, but is there any independent film that you've ever thought of that you're like, man, that just didn't get its day and you know, on the big screen?
Off the top of my head, I cannot think of an independent film because you threw me under the bus. So I would actually have to sit and think about it for a minute.
You're welcome. All right. So you think about it. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned. All right, I'm back here. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of with Jesse. For the longest time, before I got into film festivals, I didn't really appreciate what independent filmmaking was, and or how much effort it takes, even more from a filmmaker of any sort. And what I mean by that is there are so many different independent films. Like, you always think feature length, right? You think full length feature movie, forgetting about short form, right? Maybe like a short, or maybe it's not short form, but it's an animation, right? There were some really cool animated shorts in this, which is done by a small team, right? Based on the vision of somebody. And sometimes you think, oh, it's a short film, so you think less of it, not realizing it takes anywhere from like a year to a year and a half to make something like this. Some of these are out of the gate of like film school, and I have a newfound appreciation, especially this year, because so many of the women filmmakers expressed to us. We did a Zoom party, if that's a thing. It's called a virtual Zoom party. And Jesse, it's pretty cool because I think we should do this for the morning show at some point. But it was like a meet and greet. You know what I mean? Like, it was a cool meet and greet. So we have a lot of social media Facebook followers that I think it'd be cool if we did like a social media meet and greet. And it was almost on Thursday, what we did was we broke up into like rooms. So then like groups of 3, 4, or 5, depending on how many people would sign on. And it was like a cool meet and greet. Like, I mean, it wasn't the same, like, you know what I mean? It was a little odd, but I think we're going to do this pretty regularly. So if you're a writer, a filmmaker, a script writer, or any of the creative above, and you want to join in on this, go find the La Femme Film Festival. We're going to do these pretty regularly, but I'm kind of thinking we should do our own thing too, Jesse, with Zoom. It's a little
20
expensive
seconds.
though. I will say that.
Is it?
Maybe we have to have like an admission cost. Maybe we could do like a meet and greet and then like a network meetup situation. I don't know. It was cool though. Yeah, I made
10
friends
seconds.
virtually, so it's different, but you know. All right, thank you, Jesse.
2 seconds.
That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM, simulcasting to our online audience, their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's, Periscope, YouTube Live, LinkedIn, and much, much more. We appreciate each and every one of you. This is one of the very few shows where we actually broadcast both online and on the radio airwaves. So we appreciate each and every one of you who come and find us on Facebook. It's simple. You can type in KMET Radio on Twitter, and you'll see many of our videos retweeted, and or follow me at Aaron M. Sanchez. And you can get the latest and greatest information right up to date with all of us, including those very regularly in our social media broadcasts, many of which I always say download the app. It's free. KMET 1490 AM. If we ever have issues with online, which it's a thing, sometimes data can be a little strange, and there it is. So whenever we're up and we're rolling, of course, we can rebroadcast our feed to anywhere around the world, which is really a fantastic thing. And one of which I can say wholeheartedly, I so appreciate during this pandemic. I will tell you, there were a lot of filmmakers at the La Femme Film Festival 2020, which, you know, we've been talking about all week long. And it's over, but it's not over. What I mean by that is, I know me and the team, back to a shout out to Leslie Lepage, who is the founder and creator of this great film festival, who normally sets it up in the Regal Cinema at LA Live, normally has filmmakers submit their films, their shorts, their animated films, their documentaries, some really great documentaries I saw this year as well as past years. But usually you have a situation where people can go, they can see this in the movie theater, again, at the Regal Cinema in LA Live, which is a beautiful theater, back to when it was open. But in reality, there were so many filmmakers just kind of, you could tell, feeling very, honestly, downhearted, I think is the best way to say it. And they appreciated the fact that they could at least be interconnected with the rest of everybody via the online platform that we were using called SIA Live. So SIA, CYA, which we've also had on the show here in the past, talking about another filmmaker who we know was releasing it via SIA Live. So big shout out to SIA.live. They were able to host the first ever La Femme Film Festival 2020. And in so doing, of course, we had little meetups in between, one on Thursday, another one last night, but everybody was tired after last night, to be honest, because they had an award show, and the award show was done virtually. Right. When I think about like the Oscars, I think about how the SAG Awards or any of those, it's not difficult to make a cool virtual meetup. It might take a lot of bandwidth, I'm not going to lie. But I think if they did this, if they took what we did as a 411, it'd be pretty cool, because you could have this whole online audience talking and sharing their own thoughts. And then if you combine a portion of that with like Zoom, it would be cool to have like behind the scenes with a particular actor and or actress, and then you have like other people that could sign on, and it creates at least a very transparent / different mode of entertainment that you say, you know what, I would pay a ticket for that, right? For like a backstage pass, and be able to like hobnob with some of the actors right during and or after, right? Just have like a little Q&A. But I will say we're learning a lot during the pandemic on how to do things a little differently, okay, at least in the entertainment film world. And going forward, I think there's a couple of ideas that I know me and the team over at La Femme will talk about, as well as other friends that I have. And there's other festivals, there's other events, there's other award shows, there's other things that are trying to figure it out. They're all doing it a little haphazardly. I've seen some that have not done it very well. And I have to say, we're at least a quarter of the way where I think I want it to go. So stay tuned for that. Follow me at Aaron M. Sanchez. I think we're going to roll out some pretty cool things in the next couple of months that will at least entertain the average individual. And I'm super excited about that, especially if you're a filmmaker. If you're a filmmaker and you got a film, send it over. You know, hopefully it's a finished product, not a screenwriting plan project, because I get sent those all the time on LinkedIn. I don't accept those. I don't accept them for the simple sake of I don't ever want anybody, if I ever do a film, them to say, I sent that to you back in 2016 or 2018 or whatever the year is. Because there's a submission process you should usually go through, and or make sure it's copyrighted. Okay, so there you go. But the ideas are a dime a dozen. Speaking of somebody that has a lot of ideas, but they're not a dozen, is Jesse Sanchez. Jesse, you there with me?
Good morning. I am kind of here.
Yeah, now you see, he doesn't have a dozen because he's got like at least a million ideas. Is my point. You see, I saved myself there. That sounded what it sounded, right, Jesse? You got a lot of ideas about a film maybe that you might want to put together sooner than later.
Oh yeah, I always have ideas, and I finally thought about it. We were talking about it in the beginning of the show for independent film. I think I know of one. I'm not quite sure if it is, but I don't remember it ever being on theater. So. And that's called Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Okay. Well, you know what? So people sometimes wonder what independent filmmaking is versus others. I'll be honest. Before I got into the world of film, I just thought it was foreign film, right? I don't know why. In my head, I thought foreign film was independent filmmaking, not realizing the majority of the very big ones like Paramount, Warner Brothers, all okay. If it's not made any one of those, it's pretty much independent filmmaking, but some of them will become a distributor to an independent film to distribute via their own distribution platforms. Does that make sense? So you got what's called very big budget, right, films, and then you've got the person that like crowdfunds their own or sources their own film, right? And I know some films that look really big budget, but they are not, because you got some smart people behind the scenes. So it's kind of a grayish area, but what I'm talking about are people that usually like they I think I heard it once. It was interesting. Like, you hire all the interns to help you out. You hire the talent for free. You promise them the world. You hope that it'll get some type of distribution. And then the majority of these films, I want to say a good 83% don't ever get seen by the general public. They just get sat there. Some of these big time distribution platforms will at least before the world of online. Okay, the world of online is a very interesting space that I think has more room for growth, because you could find your audience via the online world, meaning you can find like people that love animal videos, right? You can find people that love a particular theme, and you can focus on that via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You could focus on all that, whereas in past decades you couldn't do that. In past decades, you had to, if you were like a big budget, back to, you worked at, what was it? Blockbuster, right?
Hollywood Video.
Video. I apologize. The other guys. I apologize. The other guys. But both of those were really big, and you had something that would be on DVD, but you had sections, right? You have genres, right, that you would focus on. So horrors are a dime a dozen because they're very cheap and easy to make. Okay, that's why horrors are usually, there's a lot more horror films and a lot more filmmakers in that space, because they're easy to make. They're really cheap. They're inexpensive, right? You get a couple people running around in a house that that's not a lot of production quality. If anything, it's the blood splattering and now if you have explosions or you have stunts, that's a whole other category of safety protocols. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on what type of movie you want to make. And if you want to make like a really raw, gritty film, it's not a hard one to make a horror film, right? But it gets more difficult when you have more, like if you had a fantasy world, right? That's a lot more, even if it's green screen, you've got like special graphics, you've got things that you got to put in there that makes it look really amazing. And it's not an easy, trust me, I've checked out the world, because I have a couple ideas on film that I'd love to do, but it takes a lot of money, right? It takes a lot of money, or you got to crowdfund. So that in of itself, we've had a lot of crowdfunding programs over the years with a lot of my entertainment shows where we've helped raise money by getting the word out there for certain filmmakers and their projects and or their cool device or the cool products. So the world of crowdfunding is a really good way to go as well. Speaking of which, there's a really good film out there, which I have to do a shout out. I haven't yet to have them on the show. I think I'm going to try to get it. And I know LaFemme's going to hate me for this, but I'm bringing up something that's actually out there that you should check out. And I think it's a really good time that we're living in to just go ahead and see what it's all about. It's called The Chosen. And I think the first one came out in 2017. And oddly enough, my good friends over at Kappa Studios, which we've also had on the show that do post-production work, they actually did the post-production work for this particular project. And The Chosen is the first ever multi-season series based on the true stories of the Gospels of Jesus Christ. And you could get it for free at thechosen.tv/app. And or you could watch it on YouTube. But I thought what they did was a very interesting way of crowdfunding. They really made it so that there's this platform, and it's basically equity crowdfunding, so that when you I forget the name of the I have to do some research on that. But if you have an audience, for example, now I'm talking about the business of world of film and or creative I want to film funding, film agent, film angel. I don't know. Anyway, so he used, evidently, or the team used this platform so that people could basically buy into it. But then if it makes any money, they each get like a little bit more additional, right? So it's not a new term, by the way, but I think it's much better than like ones where you give your money away and then you get maybe like a DVD version of it, but you don't get like equitable share, right? What is it? I know when I equitable share on movies, it's I guess there's a couple out there actually, but I'll check that out. And it's Angel. I'll find out for you guys. But my point is this: if you're a creative and or you want to support a creative, it really is a great, cool thing. And go check out the trailer. Check out the trailer. It's really amazing. Hopefully, we could get one of their filmmakers on the show. I know I did a request for it about a couple weeks back, but I'm gonna bring that back because I think we're living at a time where, I mean, look, Christmas is around the corner, right? And I feel this is more of one of those really good feel-good films that need to be reminded in our general rule of thought pattern, because the world's going crazy to crazier, right? I don't know if you saw this, Jesse, and I don't even want to talk about it, but evidently somebody got beheaded in a European, like, this isn't even a horror flick. This is like real news, which I thought, where have we gone with this? Did you hear that, Jesse?
Yes, I read that story, and it was, yeah, I there's only so much you can say about that whole situation. It was really, really bad.
Yeah. Here's there's a couple headlines. Here's one.
Apparently, the teacher was showing images from something, a Charlie Hebdo cartoon or magazine. It's a French newspaper or something like that.
Yeah, all I know is the suspect's dead, and I'm not gonna lie. Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness. Although I would have liked to have heard what was in his mind to begin with. Levin in custody following beheading of teacher in Paris suburb. That was the headline I woke up to. And I was like, what is going on in our world, right? So you don't even have to watch a horror film to go, what so some interesting questions. Obviously, I got questions. I hope there's answers. But look, back to The Chosen, okay? This is about Jesus and his life. And they do it in such a way that it's less like Hollywood-ish, if that makes sense, and more like raw. And if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I only saw a couple of the trailers, but I'm telling you, I can't wait to just sit down and get my teeth in that. And I think they're making like a second one, but they crowdfunded via YouTube platforms, Facebook platforms, and much, much more. And I'm just saying, Jesse, I think around the corner, I think we should try to do this for some independent filmmakers. And so there you go. You're hearing it here first. It's a focus of mine. I want to help the filmmakers out there, but more importantly, I want to help the average individual to be able to watch some pretty good entertainment, because it's getting boring out there. I don't know about you, Jesse, but I have yet to find a really good film that I'm just like all enthralled, or a series. Is there a series that you'd recommend?
I would recommend one, but to be honest, it kind of mirrors our current situation. So I would, if you're like really like jumpy, I would not recommend it. But if you want to, it's called Utopia on Amazon Prime.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So we got people in social media. You know what? Everybody in social media, make a little bit of a suggestion. We've got Bobby over there who says, humanoids, good morning show. Morning show. Oh, yeah, that's right. With hashtag coffee. What kind of coffee do you got in your little situation over there? Okay, people, we're going to take a quick break here. Shout out to Katja Wunderland, by the way, who's actually tuning in from Switzerland. We have some Switzerland news, by the way, which I hate to share this, but it's kind of goes back to something I talked about here on the morning show as of last week, something that we have to look at what's happening on not really our East Coast. It depends just the other side of the world, okay, across the ocean. And we have some things to learn right here on the morning show, right after these messages. Stay tuned. All right, we're on a commercial break. Let us know what you recommend us tune into. If there's something that you're following that you think, you know what, I think my morning show people would love to know. Let's see. Stephanie Reed says this, dropped off my little kitten off to get fixed and front claws declawed. Ow. Oh, I don't want to even weigh in on that. I don't want to weigh in on that. But you know what?
Wait, did she say fixed?
Well, the fixed I get, but fixed and declawed. That's kind of like, I wouldn't want to be her cat. That's all I got to say. No judgment, Stephanie. No judgment. But ouch. I guess if you're going to do it all at once, you might as well do it all at once, right? Poor cat. Like, like, what? I can't, and then I can't. Wait, what is going on? That's a horror film in my head. Look, as long as you never let the cat out ever, that cat can never go outside, okay? Just ever. Don't ever let the cat go outside, ever. Never let it escape. Just don't, because you just took away its one defense. It'll get mauled by other cats. So just please, just do the right thing there. Okay. Let's see. We got Renee tuning in. Let's see.
So what's the difference between a low budget film and a independent film?
You tell me, Jesse.
No, I'm just curious. Let's say if there's a low budget film of $5 million,
okay,
would that be considered an independent film?
Well, here, let me bring up it's kind of a skew, but independent film. Let me get the definition for you, okay? Because I know I used to be confused too on this, but like there's a lot of projects done for less than like, okay, I'll give you an example. Ultra low budget. I interviewed a guy it was a lady who did it for $1,000. That's the ultra low budget. You understand? I've seen people do things for under $10,000. They pretend like they've done it for at least $1 million plus to get distribution. But if you do it ultra low budget and then you get some type of distribution deal, the best deal, honestly, if we're talking film for a minute, is to make it as low as you can safely. Some people throw caution to the wind, right? They don't get permits. They don't think ahead of the game.
20 seconds.
But if you make it for less than $10,000, any deal above that is good. And some people think like they get like, I remember one, they made it for $10,000, they got offered $3,000, and then based on every single like potential sale, they would make a percentage of it. You don't make 100%, but you get like, for example, you get your DVD there at Target and or Walmart on the shelf. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 5 seconds.
But there's a cost to that. It's store shelf cost. So they charge for that. Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience over there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, and of course, Apple TV. Glad to have each and every one of you with us. We're looking at the social media chat room. And let's see, Rosalie Huerta says, saw a really good movie last night, The Trial of the Chicago 7. So good. True story about 1968 riots. That seems like that seems kind of close to home, right, Jesse? We're talking about like riots everywhere.
Is that on Netflix? I think I saw that there.
It might be. So there you go. Let's see, Renee Arbizu tuning in. Bobby Stamps over there. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Okay. So before we went to the break, we talked about Katja Wunderland, who is a regular contributor here on the morning show, often watches, and it's sad. I didn't really want to share this, and then I thought, well, it would be a disservice not to. Nationwide mask mandate takes force in Switzerland. Yeah, people must now wear face masks in publicly accessible indoor spaces, by the way. Now, this is in Switzerland where I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, but about a few weeks ago, she was like, it was doing good there, right? It was hopeful news, or maybe it was a month and a half ago. I can't remember.
I think she said that, but I think she said that it started to surge again.
Yeah, and I remember that like a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember everybody, but so Katya, you can feel free to weigh in though. But according to this, the first case is, let's see, this is a lot of information, blah blah blah. Okay, so basically, look, Switzerland now is doing the mandatory face mask, and you're probably thinking, wait, they're barely, well, some actually did really well between the first surge and the like lull that we had, but now unfortunately what we're seeing a lot of, and this is unfortunate because I know a lot of people were very hopeful and very like, yay, we're going to open back up. But remember, I always say, don't throw caution to the wind. Just wait. Look at the numbers. The numbers actually. Here's another article that I pulled up, and this is as current can be. Not quite that current, by the way. This was I just pulled it up. Sorry, it was as of last Tuesday. Okay, but as of last Tuesday, so these numbers have actually most likely increased rather than decreased, by the way. 5 states reported a jump of more than 50% in 1 week. Okay. That's in the US. Now, as of last Tuesday, here's the top 5 that actually jumped. Okay. Number 5, Vermont. Vermont actually jumped 50%, by the way. This was, again, as of Tuesday. So, of course, Vermont, although touted as a model for the country, Vermont still see numbers or outbreaks with numbers rising. One article said a coronavirus outbreak at a well-known apple orchard in Vermont has grown by 1 case to 28. Wow, state that like multiplied overnight. That was what state health officials confirmed. Officials with Champlain Orchards announced an additional case on Thursday in a Facebook post. Both groups say the new case was confirmed in a worker who was already living in isolation housing. We reported previously earlier this week, continue to say that the outbreak is contained to this site. There is no risk to the public from apples, the workers, or the staff. So there's that. And then there's this. Number 4, Tennessee. Yeah. According to one news agency, WJHL, Lonnie Norman, the mayor of Manchester, Tennessee, died after being hospitalized earlier in the month with the coronavirus. The city of Manchester announced the passing of Mayor Norman and stating he died after a valiant fight against COVID-19. Before he died, Norman shared words worth remembering. He said, quote, "It's only through community and statewide actions that we will be able to slow the spread of the virus." That is a terrible last words to have. That is just, I don't even have words for that. Here's another one. North Carolina. Okay, North Carolina, the virus there are attacking both big and small communities. The Stanley County Board of Education announced they'll go fully remote for 2 weeks in an emergency meeting called to order. The move comes following the death of a teacher in the school system, Julie Davis of Norwood Elementary. Board members made a point to note that officials believe Davis did not contract the virus from within the school. Although, how would they know, Jesse? I love how they always like, oh no, it didn't happen through us. You really, when you like, you ever get a cold or a flu? Do you ever like track it? Like, sometimes you could track it down. You'd be like, oh yeah, I remember when I was around that one person, he was just coughing and or sneezing in my own vicinity, and they were right. You sometimes could track it down, but sometimes you cannot, right?
Yeah, that seems kind of difficult, but if you see someone sneezing, then you could probably put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys saw this. So it was a terrible video of a lady passenger who got so upset. I don't know. It's making its if you haven't seen it already, you'll probably see it pretty soon. This lady passenger, I didn't look at the whole article, but she's seen coughing on other airliners or air passengers because they're kicking her off for not wearing a face mask. How difficult would it have been just to put a face mask on?
Yeah, not very. She sounds like a giant baby.
Yeah, but no, instead of just going and getting her stuff, she starts coughing on everybody as she starts moving around. I mean, hello, even if you have a face mask on, if you're coughing and your droplet gets into my eyes, we got a problem. So, I think she should be held liable for some type of stupidity, but there you go. If you don't like it, wear a freaking face mask. Just wear it. How difficult is that? It's not difficult. I don't want to be told what to do. Then get off the plane. But don't cuss. Like, I mean, even if she had a cold or a flu, right? I wouldn't want that. Seriously, some people are just stupid out there. And I say, don't engage. Don't engage stupidity. Let the proper authorities do the proper thing. Just don't engage. Okay. Because some people are just not thinking in the world. It's really sad. Who beheads their teacher, Jesse? Like, who does that? I got no words.
No words for that one. Well, not on the air anyway.
I got lots of words. I just can't say them. Otherwise, I'm being told I'm being what's the word? Extreme in my own thoughts. But there you go. Number 2 is New Mexico. Number 1, Montana. And so if you're in any of these communities, just be careful over there, okay? Look, I've seen a lot of people say, well, it's not in my area, it's not in my neck of the woods, but we're starting to see an uptick. And areas where it was safer, remember, we're entering the cold and flu season, people. I said this last week, and I'm saying it again, not to prove myself right, but just to say, be cautious when you go out there. All right. Don't believe all the naysayers. They're still there. They're still out there. And they're still, I don't want to wear a face mask. You know, like a big baby. Seriously, grow up. I mean, granted, it's not like we're asking you to wear diapers, although I kind of wish you would, because it's such a big baby. You might as well wear it on the outside. All right, people, we can take a quick break. I'm sorry. I have no room for stupidity nowadays. I really don't. Someone said, you changed. I said, well, coronavirus changed me. That and people in my own environment that throw stupid caution to the wind. All right, people, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned. All right, we're on a commercial break. Let us know on social media. Look, I'm sorry. I try to keep it together. I really do. But there is a certain amount of stupidity that I see out there that I just have to throw out. Like, so I had a good, very close friend say, you've really changed. And I'm like, what? Because I appear more like resolved on certain things, or is it because I'm a little, what's the word? And then I thought about it, Jesse, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, I've become a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit angry with life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Jesse sees me when I'm before and after the show, right? So he knows more than anybody how I can be. And I will say this, I just have no time for stupid people. I just don't. You know, I remember a little one saying, you can't use the word stupid. I said, you haven't read the Bible. Even the Bible calls people stupid. There's a scripture that calls it out. So I'm like, if it could be used in the Bible, it's not a bad word. It depends on who you attribute it to and or what they do, right? And for those that don't believe me, what scripture is it, by the way? Stupid people, Bible. Let's see. It is this one. What does the Bible say about stupidity? Quite a few things, evidently. Romans 1:22, claiming to be wise, they become fools. How many do we know like that? I'm smart. No, you're not. You're dumb. Proverbs 12:1, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. You're what? You see? You see? Let's see. Here's another one. Psalm 14:1. To the choir master of David, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They do abominable deeds. There is none who does good. That's called beheading your teacher. Got it? Here's another one. Proverbs 14:7-9. Leave the presence of a fool, for there you do not meet words of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way, but the folly of fools is deceiving. Fools mock at the guilt offering, but the upright enjoy acceptance. You know how many people I've met that classify themselves as this? I don't even need to classify them as this. Proverbs 14:16. One who is wise is cautious and turns away from evil. You'd hope. But a fool is reckless and careless. A man of quick temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. I don't know. Some of the evil ones are actually loved in this time that we're living in. So I disagree.
20 seconds.
Jeremiah 10:14. Every man is stupid and without knowledge. Every goldsmith is put to shame by his idols, for his images are false and there is no breath in them. Okay, you know what? I'll agree to disagree on that one for now.
5 seconds.
Another one. Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered. I like that one. Proverbs 28:26. There you go. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience there on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and of course, each and every other streaming platform, wherever it is. Don't forget to check us out via the Periscope app on Apple TV and our screencast. So if you do that, it's pretty cool if you do, because then you can watch us on your TV device. We don't need a TV station to be able to get us on TV. That's right. That's how we roll. Okay, so lots of news in the news items, including this, Jesse. I think you might be able to appreciate this. Or you know what? I don't want to get you in trouble, but never mind. I'm just going to use the headline. I think a lot of ladies are trying to get people to vote. But don't shoot the messenger, okay? According to the headline, Jesse, celebrities are using bikini pics to encourage voter registration. Data shows it's working. It's a thing, Jesse.
Wait. Say that again. I think it processed in my head.
I'm sorry. It's what I pulled it up and I was like, this is interesting. Whatever it takes to get the vote in. Okay. Celebrities are reminding fans to register to vote via posting bikini pics on their Instagram accounts. The question is, does posing proactively actually get people to the polls, or is it just another stunt for clicks? Well, it's actually more impactful than you might think. A recent bikini photo post from Kylie Jenner, in which the media personality and entrepreneur asked her followers to register to vote by using the link in her bio, prompted a 1,500% user increase on Vote.org's website. The nonpartisan site has been around since 2008, has registered more than 4.5 million voters to date. And that number may continue to grow thanks to celebs with large and active fan bases. Celebrities definitely have a role to play, help us to meet voters where they are at, especially young voters. That's according to CEO Andrea Haley. Said not every young American is politically active, so sometimes it takes a celebrity reminding them why their vote matters and the power of voting has in deciding issues that matter to them. Others have been doing their part as well. Broad City's Ilana Glazer created the hashtag. Oh, I can't say that. I don't think I could say that. I don't know if I should say that, Jesse. I know it's not a bad word, but it's kind of like an adult word.
Oh, say it on the break.
Okay, imagine a bull is quite what with its.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. I see where you're going with this.
A bull is what, Jesse?
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say it.
What, like they have horns, right? I mean, that's so easy, right? So think.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
All right. All right, for the polls. Okay, that's a hashtag. I'll let you fill in the letter. To get people motivated to vote by using the power of celebrity sex appeal. Glazer's call out doesn't include Vote.org's site, but rather cheat sheets for more progressive learning voters, especially in states with tight races like Florida and Arizona. And I'm looking at some of these photos. Okay, I probably shouldn't show these. So there you go. But there you go. Just, here's another one. Hashtag naked ballots. That's inspiring folks to fulfill their civic duty. A few other famous folks have emulated these efforts, including actress and singer Zoe Kravitz, Lisa Rinna, and model Tess Holliday. Amy Schumer, Chris Rock, Tiffany Haddish, Josh Gad, Sarah Silverman, and other well-known comedians stripped down in a separate video. Wait, what? I don't know if I want to see.
I saw that video.
I don't want to see Josh Gad in a naked ballot. Oh, wow, Chris Rock. I didn't need to say that. Can we cover him up? Okay, anyway, so look, both people, look, I'm trying not to judge. I just didn't need that image in my head. So, okay, people, there you go. It is a thing. It's just, they show from the waist up, right? Tell me they do. I don't want to see Josh Gad's. We got to take a break here, Jesse. I can't get these visuals out of my head. There you go. We'll be right back. You know what? Whatever it takes for people to. Yeah, I want to know who they're voting for. That's what I want to know. Just like I could go any way. I don't know. Anyway, okay, we'll be right back right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we're on a commercial break. I apologize. I know there's somebody watching here, and I feel bad because she's probably like, "What kind of show did I enter?" I'm apologizing to you. I tried to be as PG as that. Okay, I did. I was as PG as I could be on that news story. It's a news story. It really look it up. Look it up. I don't want to post it because then the ladies out there will be like, I see how you think.
I'll vote if people promise to never say the words Jenner or Kardashian again.
We have very simple minds, people. We are men. Okay, men have very simple minds. We are so simple sometimes.
Yeah, we are.
Like Jesse's head. Did you see when he heard it? Like there was a certain amount of blood that rushed from his brain downward, if that makes any sense. And women, you take advantage of us. Women know this. I've seen women do it. I used to have friends that were women, and they were like, "Yeah, I know. Why do you think I'm wearing this?" I'm like, that's called. You know what? That's uncool because that's called you're going in realizing what makes us dumb as men. Which, by the way, men think they're smart. They're not. They're not. The moment somebody walks in, dressed in a certain way, right? Men's brains, and women, you know it. But on the flip side of that, I know you ladies do the same thing with when a hot guy walks in. I've seen it. Trust me. Even the elderly ladies. Okay. One time, I had one elderly lady hit on me in front of the woman I was dating. It was weird. And she was like 73, and I was like, what's going on here? So I don't care if you're older in years, and I've seen it, the ladies, including my own mom. Oh yeah, he's so hot. I'm like, whoa, mom, I didn't need to hear that. La 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 la, right? She loves, especially, I'm gonna throw this out there. She's gonna be embarrassed right now. Actually, she's not. She's like, oh, dreamy. From Prison Break. Okay, she likes one of the guys from Prison Break. And I talked about it, and she was like, oh. I was like, oh, mom, I'm still in the same room. I don't need to hear that. Oh. So, ladies, trust me. I know you keep it locked down more often than not, but I see you, and I know you're like us men sometimes. There, I said it. All right, got that off my chest. Any comments on social media? Seriously.
2 seconds.
It's a thing. Welcome back. It is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience over there. We appreciate each and every one of you. Tune in via our social media platform. Our family friends, which I say they're like our family. They are. They're extended part of our extended family. If I had like a party, like post-coronavirus party, I would have these people over if I could. And then, of course, they're in different rooms. And you know what? I think we should. It's called a Zoom party of parties, right? Just like a meet and greet. You want to participate. Follow me on social media. I might be rolling this out sometime in the next couple of weeks because I think it's a really good thing. We did this back to the La Femme Film. I always have a hard time with that name. Back to the La Femme Film Festival. We actually did exactly that with a lot of the filmmakers because we were not able to meet in person. So we opened it up on Thursday night. Leslie Lepage listened to one of my suggestions. I said, we need to do this. We need to do like a meet and greet virtual style, right? And we did it. And I will tell you for like 2 hours and a half, I thought it wouldn't go past an hour. All the filmmakers were like really enjoying it. And some were taking out some wine. Some were taking out little like bottles of beer. And it was just like a social gathering online. And I thought, isn't that cool when we can like get out of our own space? And some were like, yeah, hey, I'm just down the street. Let's like hook up, via, social media distancing, on a project, like on a film that they wanted to do. And or screenwriters. We had a lot of screenwriters be like, you know what? I'm just looking to help out a producer or any, I just want to be creative, right? There were so many, and I feel bad for there was a lot of industries hurting, by the way, during coronavirus, which is why I really hate the fact that Trump and the Trumpanites are all like, yeah, this virus isn't a thing, and they're all seen partying out there, yeah, rallying. I have no problem rallying, but did you see any face masks in the last rally? A couple, right? Just like a few, and I'm just wondering, including like those that are in office, are you going to do? I saw something earlier today on Dr. Fauci, and he admitted. And now that he's come out about this, he's going to be even like pushed down. The first time he came out, I said, "Oh, be careful. They're going to push him down," because he spoke out about Trump, right? Way back, I want to say in August. And immediately they were like, Trump was like, "Forget it. You're not talking, or I'm going to speak even ill of you," right? Because how dare you go out on public talking bad about me? But he admitted recently on an interview that, yeah, his time or his exposure on like broadcast television has been pretty pushed down, right, by the White House officials. Okay, but he also admitted, evidently, I didn't watch the whole story. I just saw the news headline that he says it wasn't a surprise to him that President Trump got sick. Right, it wasn't a surprise to him because there's certain people in hopefully not in your inner circle, but and if you're one of those, there's some that you go like, oh, saw that coming. But then there's this, and this one I posted, and I'm not happy about posting this, but I feel it's a sad situation that we have to at least make aware. And I'm going to pull up this person's image because he reminds me of a couple friends which are very healthy. Okay, I'm just going to say the word healthy. And what I mean by that is, Jesse, do you know of any like bodybuilders that are super healthy that have gotten the coronavirus and or gotten well, gotten sick, or are still fighting it? Do you know anybody?
By name, no, but I've been hearing a lot of reading a lot of like news reports about how a lot of bodybuilders and people that exercise more than usual have been getting the coronavirus and hitting them harder.
Well, and it's funny you say that because I said a while back, by the way, I said, look, people, gyms, you have to be careful. Okay, you've got a lot of metal in there. And remember, you have to go back to the science of it all. You have to basically have such a clean environment. Now I like the ones that are outside, right? Probably preferably in the sun. Nobody wants to work out in the sun, just saying. But there's some ones that I've seen, I'm like, I might work out in that environment, right? But I will say this. I don't know how he contracted it, but this individual, who is quite buff, by the way, because he's the guy's a very strong dude. Fitness influencer Dmitry Stushuk has passed away, though, at the age of 33. And very young, Jesse. Because I've heard so many people go, oh, it's only for the elderly, right? And or the very sick. After suffering from complications related to COVID-19, the social media star ex-wife Sophia Stuchuk, I apologize ahead of time if I've mispronounced the name, whom he shared 3 kids, confirmed his death in a detailed Instagram post that was this Saturday. Now, Sophia shared in Russian, which has lately been translated in English. Yes, we didn't have a good relationship. Yes, there were many problems, but this relationship gave us so much. We have lived and experienced so much with you. You were there in sorrow and in joy. I will remain grateful to you for the rest of my life for our 3 beautiful children. She continued to this. We were no longer together, but it hurts me no less. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you for everything, my important person, my main teacher, my guide, the father of my children. In closing, she wrote this: you are our guardian angel, and your love will always protect our angels. How painful it is to realize blessed memory of you. Now, earlier, though, in the week, Dmitry updated his 1 million followers on his health in an Instagram post. And I want to say this, okay? Just because somebody throws caution to the wind does not mean that they deserve to die of it. Does that make sense? I feel some people are very like calculating when they post stuff like this, and I'm not trying to say in any way by posting this like, look what he got. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is people just need to wake up. And here's why I say that. Okay, here's what he said again before he died. He began his caption in Russian, also been translated, so this is a very loose translation. Coronavirus COVID Day 8. As you all know from stories, I am sick with coronavirus. Today, after returning home for the very first time, there was an enthusiasm for at least writing something. I want to share how I got sick and convincingly warn everyone. I also thought that there was no COVID until I got sick. According to this, he contracted COVID-19 during a trip to Turkey and was treated in his native Ukraine. The social media sensation touched on this in his Instagram post, saying, I felt bad on the second day in Turkey. I woke up in the middle of the night because my neck was swollen and it was hard to breathe. At the same time, my stomach ached a little. Now, you see that right there? Swollen. We talked about that as being a symptom, right? But the difficult to breathe is a very common one that if you see that and or you feel that, you need to go right away. The one where he says my stomach ached a little, that one's a little off from the average, right? But here we go. He says the next day, a cough began to appear, but there was no temperature. There were no particular symptoms of the disease earlier. So I thought that these could be consequences after playing sports, changing the climate and nutrition, and plus sleeping under air conditioning. After returning from Turkey, I immediately went to take various tests, do an ultrasound scan, and just in case, decided to take a COVID test. It turned out to be positive. He explained he took a CT scan and was later prescribed treatment and began to insist on hospitalization. Sometimes you have to insist, by the way. They're like, no, you'll be fine. You look great. You'll be fine. He went on to say this. He said, this is another story because now there are renovations going on. The hospital is completely filled with people. Some of them live in the corridor. There is no food, no paper, no cutlery either. Nobody warned me about this. He went on to say this. They gave me an oxygen apparatus for breathing since I have a low oxygen level, although I think it's considered critical after 90. For me, 94 and 96 is quite permissible for treatment at home. The doctor in the waiting room told me the same thing because they're just trying to move people out. And unfortunately, I feel that the doctors did the wrong thing. They looked at his body and they looked at his ability to probably get well, and they thought, oh, he'll be fine. To which I think they have a case here. I really do. But I don't know the full story. But he explained he did end up being treated at home. I don't think that should have been done. He should have been kept there. But here we go. After feeling it was more convenient and comfortable, the Sun reports Dmitry was rushed back to the hospital following his at-home treatment. Sophia said, per the outlet, that her ex-husband was in grave condition and unconscious. She revealed that the fitness star had problems with his cardiovascular system. His heart is not coping. His state is extremely grave. No one can do anything with this. And shortly after, he passed away. Now, again, the headline focuses on the fact that at first he told followers it wasn't real. And then he got it. He suffered from it. He tried to follow doctor's orders, and he ended up dying. People, I am not here to spread fear. I am here to spread awareness. He said in his post, nobody told me this. Once you go to the hospitals, it's this bad. Agree to disagree. There's a lot of false information, bad information out there, okay? Stop listening to that stuff. Use your thinking mind, put your thinking cap on, and start thinking for yourself, okay? This was for those of you in the radio audience, very muscular, strong, very healthy-looking person. Now, some might say, well, he had a cardiovascular problem. You know how many people do and don't know that they have one? So look, people, I implore you, I beg of you, do not be like this young man. He was only 33. At the end of the day, probably with his last dying breath, I could only imagine the thoughts that were going through his head for his family that he was leaving behind. a father of 3, and an ex-wife. No doubt she, no doubt he, no doubt the children all have a lot of regret. So, it pains me to say this, but it has to be said. Wake up. Wake up. Be alert. Be alert and do not let yourself get lulled into a series of just, it's just a thing. It's not real. They're blowing out of proportion. Yeah, why is other states and or cities and or governments shutting down areas? Oh, that's right, because you can get okay from it, but you might have to get hospitalized on it, but you only have so many doctors and or nurses to treat this because it gets very blown overnight. True. So I'm going on record once again saying this. What have I said? I've only said do the right thing. Be cautious. Put on a flipping face mask. And true, that may not be 100% guarantee. But people, we're entering the cold of flu season, and it's about to get worse. It really is. All right, people, I've run out of time here on the morning show. If you want to find out my thoughts on the matter, I'll continue this conversation off the radio, but you can find me at Aaron Michael Sanchez. Find me on social media. We'll have this conversation a little bit further. I'm going to share some interesting facts you might not be aware of, but we'll be back with more of the morning show tomorrow, right here, same time, same channel. Bye-bye, everyone. All right, for the rest of you tuning in, I appreciate each and every one of you. This is a sad fact, okay? And look, this man, I feel like I almost just need to bring up more pictures of him just to really hit home. Because I feel there are people that simply just don't understand. And I've seen this quite a few times. Oh, I don't even want to show this. But yeah, I'm not going to show his him and his wife. 21. I don't know what situation they had between the two of them, but nobody's showing his body. But you can find it on Instagram. He posted it. So yeah, I'm not gonna. Look, the reality is this: he super healthy. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Whether he was built, whether he got bigger muscles than the majority of us. I'm just saying. But I see bodybuilders like this. I saw a bunch of them in the high desert just walking around without a face mask on with their significant other. And I thought, wow, they must think they're like impervious against this. So I get it. And some just love President Trump. Okay. They love him. You go up to them, I guarantee you're voting for Trump, right? Yeah, hell yeah. That's what they'd say. I have a problem with that mentality. Excuse me, but I just do. Okay, I don't care if you do vote for Trump. Do the right thing and stop thinking it's something that it's not. These are lives we're talking about. That's why I take such a big issue with Trump and the administrative team. I take issue. Here's why. Okay, I'm going to go to something that I didn't share on social media via our radio show because, I never know who's listening and who wants just to take me out. Because I know there are a lot of people on the radio that disagree with me. And I say, all right, well, whatever. At least I'm trying to keep people safe. What are you doing? You're throwing them stuff and information that might cause them to think it's not real. Here's a headline. I'm trying to find it, but the news article's a little up. It's kind of messed up. New York Governor Cuomo, not that confident in FDA's vaccine approval process. And here's another one. This one I'm going to bring up. Vaccine storage issues could leave 3 billion people without access. Okay, these are real headlines, and it's not to scare anybody. It's just to say, look, you don't want to get it. You really don't. According to this, from factory to syringe, the world's most promising coronavirus vaccine candidates need nonstop sterile refrigeration to stay potent and safe. But despite enormous strides in equipping developing countries to maintain the vaccine cold chain, Nearly 3 billion of the world's 7.8 billion people live where temperature-controlled storage is insufficient for an immunization campaign to bring COVID-19 under control. The result, poor people around the world who were among the hardest hit by the virus pandemic are also likely to be the last to recover from it. That's a cold headline, by the way. That right there is so massively going to be more realistic than I think people realize. You got money? You're good. You're super ultra poor? Yeah, sorry. And if you live in a third world country, even worse. According to this, the vaccine cold chain hurdles, just the latest disparity of the pandemic weighted against the poor, who more often live and work in crowded conditions that allow the virus to spread, have little access to medical oxygen that's vital to this COVID-19 treatment, and whose health systems lack labs, supplies, or technicians to carry out large-scale testing. Maintaining the cold chain for coronavirus vaccines will not be easy, even in the richest of countries, especially when it comes to those that require ultra-cold temperatures of around minus 70 degrees Celsius. For those of you calculating at home, that's minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Investment in infrastructure and cooling technology lags behind the high-speed leap that vaccine development has taken this year due to the virus. With the pandemic now in its 8th month, logistics experts warn that vast parts of the world lack the refrigeration to administer an effective vaccination program. This includes most of Central Asia, much of India and Southeast Asia, Latin America, except for the largest countries, and all but a tiny corner of Africa. The medical clinic outside Burkina Faso's capital, a dirt-streaked building that serves a population of 11,000, is a microcosm of the obstacles. And it goes on. This is a long story. But look, if you kind of put the math together, you still have to produce a good amount of a virus vaccine that actually works. And then you got issues with that. Okay. Cuomo's a smart man, actually. And if he says he's not that confident in the FDA's vaccine approval process, there's probably a reason why. The article isn't bringing that up for me, but here's what I know. There are so many. Look, I'm going to bring up comments in just a minute. Let me know what you think about that here. Go ahead and feel free to state your comments on this. Here we go. Okay. True or untrue? Coronavirus is alive and well. What do you believe? Go ahead and type it in. Yes or no. Just type in yes or no. I believe it or I don't believe it. Just I want to see. And no shame if you say still, I don't believe it. No shame. Because I feel like if I got to get through to anybody, I got to get through to that one person that really doesn't feel it is still a thing, which I feel the majority now realize it's a thing, but they don't think it's as bad as reportedly shown. Because I see so many go, oh, that's fake media, right? Fake news. Just get those words out of your head when it comes to coronavirus, okay? Both sides of the aisle are talking about it, not just those that love or dislike, a particular party. Both sides are on that. Okay, both sides. Even look at President Trump. Even President Trump admitted to it. I don't think he's being very responsible since then with it, acting like, oh, I got the cure and can't wait to share it with you all. Is he ready to share with everybody? I don't know. Which kind of begs the question of, wait, what happened there, right? Back to his wife and his son, right? Are they still okay? Okay. Well, I saw another report which confirmed, as of most recently, a second, technically a second person. It touted him as the first person ever, which I think that's stupid. But it was a article. Let me see if I can bring it up. The article was really dumb, in my opinion, because I was like, no, other people have gotten coronavirus and gotten it a second time. It was an article. Maybe I didn't bring it up. No. First confirmed case. Here it is. Nevada man's COVID-19 reinfection, the first in the U.S. Is yellow caution light about risk of coronavirus. That's not the fuck. Are they not looking at all? Like, I think maybe just in Nevada. I think they messed up on this. Back to my sister. I told you guys my sister got coronavirus a second time. Okay, but she got better the second time. But I attribute that to something she already has in her system, which is a drug called Nplates, which helps the platelets, and it's a synthetic, which helps to counteract. And I think, but it's very expensive. drug, so they don't have a lot of it. I'm not saying it's a cure, but it definitely helped her get over her virus quicker than most, in my own opinion. That's my opinion. That's all it is. But according to this article, an otherwise healthy, he's 25-year-old. Yeah. Nevada man is the first American confirmed to have caught COVID-19 twice, with the second infection worse than the first. Maybe that's the part that they meant. It's worse than the first. Okay. Well, I'll stick with that. But he's not the first to get it a second time. He has recovered, but his case raises questions about how long people are protected after being infected with the coronavirus as it causes the disease, and potentially how protective a vaccine might be. I'd like to see if that was a mutated version of the coronavirus. How do you test about that? Dr. William Schaffner, an infectious disease expert at the Vanderbilt University School of Medicine in Nashville, Tennessee, who was not involved in the research, says it's a yellow caution light. More like a red caution light. Yellow is kind of like, really, it's just. Respiratory infections like COVID-19 do not provide lifelong immunity like a measles infection. Hold on to that. I had a conversation about a month and a half ago with a very young individual who says, I want an antibody test to see if I, had it, but I got well from it, so I know that I'm okay. And I said, you do realize even if you were okay, you could still get it anyway. You could? She was only like 23, I want to say. A little bit naive, but that's okay. So Dr. Paul Offit, an infectious disease expert at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, said he's not at all surprised people could get infected twice with the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. It's too soon to know whether the man from Washoe County, Nevada, who had no known health problems other than his double infection, was highly unusual, or if many people could easily get infected more than once. But I told you could. It's just stupid people. They don't look. I get it. I research a lot of information, but you look at all the headlines and you look at all the news and you look at all the stories of people that have lost their lives and or losing their lives, or I ask people on Twitter all the time for their own personal stories. Maybe this is why I'm a little bit smarter than the average person. Back to the World Health Organization. That's why we need the World Health Organization here giving us the information, because they can clarify all this. It's seriously some of these doctors. I said there's hardly an infectious disease doctor in the country who hasn't encountered a patient who thinks they've had a second infection. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. There are lots of respiratory infections out. You're stupid. I'm going to stop with this doctor's comments. Like, you're dumb. How rare is he? He's not that rare. I've heard of a lot of people with it, but okay, I'll read this article because it's written by a reputable news agency called USA Today. There have been at least 22 documented cases of reinfection worldwide. No, it's more. This is dumb. I can't believe I'm reading this. Since the start of the pandemic, but it's unclear how many cases there have actually been. Oh, there you go. You're welcome, my sister. That's another addition to that number. And how common it may be among people who don't even know they're infected. And that's true. I'll go with that one. Akiko Iwasaki, an immunologist at Yale University and an investigator with the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, who wrote a commentary with the study, says it could be a 1 in a million event. We don't know. You guys are so stupid. I don't even want to talk to these people. These are supposedly smart people. It's dumb. All right, back to the kid I talked, which to me, she's a kid. 23 is a kid to me. Okay. Look, people, you can get it a second time. And that happened. Was that happened before my sister got it a second time? I think it was. And she got it from another worker. For those that don't know, my sister's special needs. She's locked up in a facility where she has, like, people taking care of her 24/7, right? So they have a rotating door of people coming and going. And one of the health workers there ended up getting coronavirus. Okay. And then my sister got it. She tested positive for it. They had to isolate her away from everybody else. Thankfully, within the 2 weeks of isolation, she actually fought it and exhibited no immediate major effects. But this is a woman who got it, and she's currently 39, by the way. Okay, so she got it, almost died from it, got a drug called Nplate, which I will say is hands down one of the best things if you have your platelets suddenly falling and they say you need a blood transfusion, get Nplates. Okay, just get it. Demand it. If they don't want to pay for it, just demand it. Say, I'm staying at your hospital. Hospital stay is more than it's $2,000. Okay. It's a very effective drug though. Very effective drug. But there you go. Okay. I'm not saying it's a cure-all. I'm just saying it helped her body go from almost dead to great in about a week and a half. She still had a lot of healing to do. But end plate, look it up. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's go to comments here on social media. Let's see. Penelope, I appreciate you right now. Dumb people have coronavirus of the brain. Right. Let's see. I like this one. Bobby, my comments are fake. Let's see. Marianne Elias Johnson says yes. Yeah. So there you go. And whoever else, Mintwave Radio will do a big, let's see, shout out to you, Mintwave Radio. We love other radio programs on here. And let's see, Helen says, I love your honesty. I actually do the same thing to my son. It's a thing, right? All right, there you go. I like that. Let's see, Alex Bryant, appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Rosalie, about a comment earlier. I appreciate Rosalie right now. Totally agree about men, but I'm not one of those girls. I don't know. You probably don't let it out, but it's all right. Okay, and look, yeah, there it is. Mintwave Radio. I'm going to do it. Morning, Mintwave Radio. Okay. All right. So look, for those of you tuning in, the reality is, and Judy, I love Judy. Judy's amazing. She shares our social media posts everywhere and then some. So thank you. And Mintwave Radio is okay. I was like, it reminds me of Double Mint, but that's a new. Oh, well then, hello, Double Mint Radio. I was on Double Mint Radio's Fraser Ramsey show. Go check it out, Ramsey Unleashed, and I like that too. Mintwave Radio. I like that. It has a certain ring to it. Welcome back. Okay, so look, in social media, there's a lot of comments, and look, however you feel on this, here's what I know: you got to be cautious. All right, people, we just have to be cautious. There's this article which I didn't really want to share, but I feel it needs to be shared, and so here it is. What's the status of the second $1,200 stimulus check? Does anybody know? Is anybody aware of what's going on over there? And I want to know from you. And look, Mint Radio, by the way. It's going to take me a minute to unwind Double Mint, by the way, so apologize for that, Mint Radio. Mint Radio is over, Fraser, at least, is based in Scotland, okay? And Scotland has a lot of stuff going on over there, which a lot of it is mirroring what's happening here. Some of it not. Back to free speech. I think free speech is a thing over there right now, kind of being talked about. If you, there was something, it didn't make sense to me, but there it is. Basically, you hurt somebody's feelings, and it's called the bully mentality. But then you could get locked up for it. So it's basically a way to squash free speech, right? Which I would venture to say a lot of what I say is a lot of free speech, opinion based, right? Opinion based, but opinion based to throw what? Everybody into the hospital in the event that they get coronavirus? No. I know a lot of people say, well, you mentioned that a lot. You know why? Because I have a beef. It's an underlying beef that I have with stupid people. Okay. And there was a broadcaster who tried to get me in trouble just for saying coronavirus is real. Here's a face mask, put it on. You understand? And I can't go at this guy because he pays for radio airtime. So I think one day in the future, his followers will say, You caused my family member to die because I believed everything you said. That's the person I don't want to be. I don't ever want to be that person. I don't want that hanging over my head to say, somebody says, well, I believe what you said. And so, wow, I now have to suffer from it. You understand what I'm saying? I detest any personality and or news personality out there, or even influencer or person that's out there that says to people, no big deal. Don't worry about it. You'll get fine. And then somebody listens to that type of logic. They get sick from it because they didn't do a couple of very common things, which is what? Just don't throw caution to the wind, right? I saw recently, and I kid you not, I got to bring this up. 10,000. I posted this on my official page. If you're not already there, go check it out. Aaron M. Sanchez. We're growing by leaps and bounds. I think we're going to pass the 25,000 mark. My goal is to get at least to 50,000 by the end of the week. I don't know if we could do it, but I need your help there. Because I think if we can throw more caution to the wind and get more people on the smart side, even the ultra like people that are love false information, I think if they at least find us by happenstance, they'll be like, oh, well, that makes some sense, right? But here was one article, and you know what? I love people that want to say, no, it's not a thing. I love it. Bring them on. I will go toe to toe with you to help your family out. I'm the first one to do that. But don't get me to try to be off my morning show, to try to get me off the station. I'm not going to have it anymore. I'm sorry. I know there are people that are dumb and stupid. And I say, who would you rather want on your radio program? Me, the one who's saying be cautious, or the other person that's saying it's all a ploy for President Trump to not get reelected. Let's vote Trump and stamp out this coronavirus debacle. That's basically what the other radio show host is saying. Do you understand why I take issue with this guy? All right. So here's a story. I'm going to go to this one. Wedding of Hasidic leader's grandchild was expected to draw 10,000 to New York City. A wedding expected to bring 10,000 celebrants to Williamsburg Monday, which is now barred by state order, was for a kin of a noted Hasidic leader, according to a report. A grandchild of Zalman Leib Teitelbaum, Grand Rabbi of the Satmar sect, was to tie the knot. The report said the ceremony was slated to be held at venues on Rodney Street and on Bedford Avenue, which are locations of a Satmar synagogue, and the sect's United Talmudical Academy. New York State issued an order barring the mass gathering, which would violate coronavirus restrictions, and it was served Friday night, officials said Saturday. The state limit on wedding receptions in New York City is 50 people, by the way. You can do a virtual. Seriously, come on. It's not that hard. I mean, it costs a little bit of money, but it's probably cheaper than a whole wedding venue. Seriously. A hearing on the order can be requested with the State of Health Department, Elizabeth Garvey, Governor Andrew Cuomo's special counsel. That was said on Saturday. So look, I don't know what stupid person thought this would have been a good idea, but I can almost guarantee they weren't thinking. They just weren't. I'm just going to say that. All right. It was a Jewish community. I don't know if they're all pro-Trump. I'm kind of imagining they are not, but still dumbness, right? And this is a God's chosen people. Seriously. But see, that's my point. Even God knew. Back to the Israelite nation. Okay. Just for a minute, just hold off here. I'm not trying to say Jewish people are stupid, by the way. I love Jewish people. I love them. Jesus was Jewish, technically. So love the guy. But in reality, okay, even God knew his chosen people who said, we'll do everything you say. Remember Mount Sinai? We'll do everything you say. Even they were a stiff-necked people. That's what he talked about. Stiff-necked. What does it mean to be stiff-necked? Stiff-necked meaning, what? Oh, I need a chiropractor to help me out. No. A stiff-necked person. All right, let me look it up so that I don't throw caution to the wind on this because somebody's going to call me out on that. I know there's some very smart people here. And stiff-necked meaning. Okay, here it is. According to Google, that is. Of a person or their behavior, haughty and stubborn. Stiff-necked pride. Okay, so when you call them stiff-necked, haughty, nobody likes to be called haughty, by the way. People really take an issue with that. But they don't understand. It also means stubborn. People are willing to say, oh, yeah, I'm stubborn. But they're not willing to say, I'm haughty, okay? And I get it, okay? For example, I love stubborn people. Let me explain my situation, okay? I love stubborn people. And here's what I love. I love the people that are stubborn for the right cause. You understand? If you're stubborn for the right cause, I think you're an amazing person, right? There were people stubborn back in the day, back to God's people. We will do whatever you say, right? And there was somebody that would come off from another nation and they were like, you need to worship my God. No, I'm stubborn for the right person. God over here, right? Not your God, this God. Whatever he says, I will do. Whatever he commands, I will do. I am stubborn for a good cause. You understand the difference there? Because some people go, well, I don't know, stubbornness can be a good thing. It can be. It can be if it's for the right thing. Like I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn for what is hopefully more right than wrong, right? Because sometimes I can have wrong information in my head. But then I'm willing to yield or let somebody else have the right of way if it means it doesn't harm anybody else, right? Okay, give you an example, right? I can be stubborn. I can come to a crosswalk and see somebody else pull up. I can see 4 people pull up, right? And you go, well, who goes first? Is it the guy at the right? Is it the guy to the left? Does anybody know the answer to that? I haven't looked it up in some time. But you kind of go, okay, I'm going to be stubborn here. I'm going to go first because I'm pretty sure I have the right of way. And you move forward, and all of a sudden, boom, you get hit on the side, right? Oh, no. Oh, man, 2 people stubborn, or one didn't see the other. I don't know. Now the officer comes out, right, to take a report. Well, what did you do? Okay, what did you do? Okay, well, one of you is wrong. The other's actually right by the letter of the law, right? So now you were both stubborn, or one of you was stubborn, but you were the stubborn one, and you're not right. Uh-oh. Well, now the insurance has to determine one of you is in the right, one of you is in the wrong. You're not in the right. They're in the wrong. Wait, what? Or maybe sometimes 2 people are in the wrong or not in the right. Because sometimes it's called perspective, right? Perspective can be everything to some certain legal trials. It's true, right? It's why like a guilty person could get off innocent because you couldn't prove them 100% guilty. Back to the last day of that person. I can't wait till all the people that were made innocent on earth get their day in court in heaven, right? I just what? Or in the afterlife, or whatever you believe, like whether they come back. There's a judgment that's supposed to happen, right? There's certain people I think need to be judged right here, right now. I'm a little upset it's not being done sooner than later, but whatever. So my point is this, okay? You could be stubborn for what's right or what you think is right and still be held accountable. Agree to disagree? Okay, let me put it this way. Let's say, for example, you believe in abortion, okay? 100%. And I know I'm going to lose people here, but just if you bear with me to the very end, you'll understand my train of thought. And just wait. Some believe 100% in abortion. Some are very anti-abortion, right? To which I say, there are so many gray areas in there, I don't know where to start, okay? I really don't. There are those that get, sadly, there are countries, okay, let me put it out like this. There are countries that accept certain behavior of mutilation of the women. They'll accept that. You can mutilate a woman, but you have to be all holy. There are some that will rape a woman, cause her undue harm by her body, impregnate her, and then suddenly everybody's up in arms if that woman wants to not carry the child anymore. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I get it. I do. Life is a gift from God. I'm not going to say otherwise. I'm not going to say otherwise. However, if a woman decides to do what she decides to do, does that mean you should be automatically saying you're an evil person? No. And yet there are some people out there that will judge harshly, condemn a woman, not knowing the facts behind the situation. You understand what I'm saying? On the flip side of that, there are many that have premarital sex all the time. And then suddenly a baby comes in, right? And all of a sudden, like, oh, it's inconvenient, right? It's inconvenient. Now, some I get. I understand that. There are teenagers, there are young youth, there are 15-year-olds and below that get pregnant. All of a sudden, they have a baby that they have to make a decision on very quick, very fast. And some pressured by the parents, some pressured. But the pressure comes from sometimes beyond, and some have to deal with the consequences of the choices later on in years. Don't believe me? Ask somebody who had an abortion at a very young age. It affects them. I know of quite a few that still have it right back there. But at the end of the day, I don't feel, and I could be wrong, I've been known to be wrong, I don't feel the heavenly realm says, you know what? How dare you? We're going to condemn you for life. No longer are you allowed in our vicinity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Back to love. People say, I worship a God that's all loving. And yet at the very same time, they harshly judge or condemn somebody for having done something that they feel shouldn't have been done in their own sphere of influence. Does that make sense? They harshly condemn a person, maybe not by their own, like outwardly, but they do so behind the scenes, right? They talk abusively about that person. Oh, I can't believe she did that. Huh. Okay. The reason I'm saying this is there are other countries, including the United States of America, that have a huge problem of, let's face it, trafficking. You understand what trafficking I'm talking about? I'm talking about women that are being trafficked for sexual gratification of men, more often than not, men, with either younger women under 18 and or older women. Either way, they're being trafficked sexually, made for a profit for somebody on the opposite receiving end. But who's more responsible for that particular situation? Is it the one who is making a business of it? Is it the woman who's on the receiving end of that, meaning kind of in the middle, stuck in the middle, right? Or is it the John that ends up paying for it? Which is it? Who's more responsible and or in that situation? I'm sure glad I'm not judge, jury, and executioner. I don't know how I would judge that. Except to think this: who is being held against their will and or has suddenly a baby involved due to an unwanted pregnancy, due to an act that probably shouldn't have happened? And do you think that guy who paid like 15, 20, 25, I don't know what the going rate is. I really don't. But whatever the rate is that to cover the woman's costs beyond? Like, what about the child? Okay. So there's a lot of gray areas that I think a lot of people don't like think about, and you need to before you all one or the other. Do you understand? I think that look, I'm the first one to admit, I don't know every woman's situation. I don't think there's a one size fits all. There just isn't. Even in the Bible, there were principles that superseded other laws. Do you understand? There were principles of be loving, think about your neighbor other than yourself. Shoot, love your neighbor as yourself. Or what is it? Love your enemy? Whatever. My point is this. I think they should remove love your enemy for now, because some enemies are just not worth loving, just seriously. But I get it. His thoughts are higher than mine. You understand what I'm saying about that? That's what I mean about being stubborn. Now, being stubborn for what is just what you think is right could be completely wrong, right? I could see God saying, whoa, Aaron, you just said a lot of bad stuff. Like, none of it's true. We actually judge quite harshly, and we don't approve of any of what you just said. Oh, I'm sorry. Then okay. Then I reverse backpedal what I just said. I apologize. Do you see the difference? So which are you? Are you a person willing to say on that final day, you know what, I was wrong, I apologize? Wow. Or are you willing to at least go on the forefront saying, look, I'm going to be more understanding that I don't understand everything, and everybody has to live their own path and or their own life in the best way that they possibly can. And you know what I can be? I could be a source of encouragement regardless of what another person's decision thinking process might be made. Does that make sense? Like I know I lost myself there. If a person does something, whether they were in their right mind and or in their wrong mind, does it really matter that you should be judge, jury, and executioner harshly in your own realm? Maybe you are unloving to that person and unkind. Now, who's the better or the worse person in that sphere of influence. Do you understand? Are you, by being more judging and or harshly condemning somebody, automatically making somebody unable to want to believe in the God that you believe? Because now they feel so ashamed, so mad, so sad, so angry in life that they go, why, how could I have done this? Rather than say, you know what? There's a particular proverb that says, you know what? God forgives you, knowing that you are made of dust. He understands what you're going through. He bottles up the tears of your tears in a wine vase. It's not a wine vase, but it's a wine bottle thing. It's not really a bottle. Look it up. I know many of you are like, well, I'll get that scripture right. But my point is this, all right? People, look, I see so many people judging harshly of people that are just trying to do the right thing. Sometimes people, look, right now, coronavirus, you know how many people are having sex right now just out of the blue just to get like, they just are. So there's a lot of babies coming up around the corner. Don't believe me. It's going to happen, okay? Where do you think baby boomers came from? It was the time of World War, what was it, II? Like, it's like a lot of people like, oh my God, let's get, boom, baby booms. Boop, right? We're going to have that. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Next 9 months, guaranteed, this is going to be an influx of babies. Guaranteed, okay? But look, at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made on both sides of the aisle. And if you're a parent of a young youth who's afraid to come to you and say, look, I don't know what to do, don't judge so harshly that you push the child out and they don't know that they could come to you. And maybe I've had ones that they still have the baby and they let the older sister take care of the baby. They let grandma take care of the baby. There's way, a lot of young women don't know that they can be open about this with their parents to say, how can we make this work? Instead of saying, oh no, you just, oh, we can't believe you did this. We can't believe he's the father. We can't. Whoa, just stop. Aren't you the same ones that say, oh, every life is precious? You know how many parents I know that believe life is precious? But by condemning your own daughter and or your own son, oh, no, don't get hooked up with that girl. Oh, you got her pregnant? Well, you know what? Here's some money. Go get that aborted. I don't want you to ruin your life. You know how many stories I hear of that? Well, who's the evildoer there? On the flip side of that, I understand extreme cases where people get raped. They get raped from a very traumatic event, and they have what's called a completely unwanted pregnancy, and then the kid suffers from that through life because that parent can never separate the two. And then I know of cases where they were able to separate the two, and some blessings came out of it. Okay, look, I'm never going to judge harshly because I'm the last one to judge. But my point is to throw out some thinking mind to each and every one of you to say, what would God want us to do at the end of the day? At the end of the day, did he make you judge, jury, and executioner on the same day? Like, seriously. I recently got a tweet, okay, asking about my past and current involvement with my own belief system. Well, if you're a thinking person, why would you go against what you... Hold on. Are we judging now? Be careful. Be careful. I think there were only a set number of judge, jury, and executioners. Or no, that's right. They don't execute. They judge, right? Kings and or judges are mentioned in Revelation, and a certain number were given them of 144,000, bought from the tribe of every Israelite nation. 12 tribes to be exact. And that was a set number, right? Kings and priests is what it refers to them as, but they could not judge accordingly until given all the circumstances once they're up in heaven. True, and true. Maybe the number might be skewed on some people's belief systems, whatever, whether it's literal and or figurative. It's still a number mentioned, not once, but multiple times, okay? But of these chosen of the earth, they would serve as kings and priests for a limited set number of time. True or true? True. Look it up. It's in Revelation, okay? I don't know about you. We're still here on this earth, so I don't think anybody has the right to be that judge, jury, and executioner just yet. And then, of course, we've got judges all the time on earth, which do some really foolish acts, right? Make sense of it all. Sometimes don't make any sense, but they try to do the best thing possible. And we have an imperfect justice system. It's called well, that person's a judge, that person's a jury, part of a jury member, and then that person is a executioner, right? And hopefully they don't all meet all at the same time and agree on the same thing all the time. Hopefully they have different viewpoints because they at least try to see all sides of the table, to which I think there are a lot of innocent people in prison right here, right now, just as well as there are many guilty people that are walking the streets still. To which I say, hey, God, can you work on that right here, right now? Seriously. But we have to wait, right? We have to wait. So what's my point in saying this? Don't be stubborn, people. Don't be so stubborn to say, I know what's right for everything under the sun. Haughty you are, a stiff-necked people. And what happened to the Israelite nation when they were stiff-necked? Oh, boy. That's a Sunday school sermon right there. They got locked up. You want to be that way? Fine. You're going to be locked up by another nation. Goodbye. Oh, wow. Don't believe me? Look it up. Babylon. They got judge, jury, and executioner all in one little sweep. And he said, because you're a stiff-necked people. Ungrateful. Haughty. Ooh. And quite blasphemous at times, too. And it started right after they got released from Egypt. It's terrible. They got upset, mad, and angry. It started in little ways, right? They were ungrateful. Remember manna? Manna, because they were like starving. Manna became on the earth. It was like a flaky bread-like substance to which you had to you get it in the very early of the day, and you had to like scoop it up and you had to eat it. And boy, at first they got it. They saw it. They go, oh my God. Oh my God. This is so good. This is so tasty. The sustenance. It's amazing. Within a very limited time, all of a sudden, that stuff again, we got to go. Would have been better back in Egypt. At least there we had good meat. Should have left us there, Moses. Yeah. Well, you were just delivering. You had long-hour days there. You had no pension. You had no retirement plan. You had none of that. And yet you want to go back to that? If I were Moses, I would have said, see ya. I'll point you in the direction it is. Why don't you go back there? Seriously. But I feel people right now are kind of being that way. We have a lot of people being held safe, being kept safe from others, being delivered in such a way to be able to say, hey, at least we are aware that it exists. And, it's not some disease that we don't know about, right? But no, people are upset about wearing face masks. If you were an Israelite nation, you know what you would have been? Swallowed up by the earth. Sir, look it up. Moses came down from Mount Sinai, had the 10 commandments. Boom, done. Wait, what are you doing worshiping an idol of another god? Calf, nonetheless. Who did that? Moses got upset. Boom, threw them down. Moses had to suffer from that because, come on. God just spent all this time making. Now you had to do a second copy. Come on, Moses, you could have just sat them down instead of breaking them right there. That were for God, not for either way. I'm sure Moses felt bad about it. Anyway, long story short, the Israelite nation. What? Or sudden earthquake. The ground opens up, swallows. What was it? A lot of people, right? A lot in the tens of thousands, 30,000 or so, 30,000.1, 30,000. 28,246. Oh, that makes sense. So a lot of people suddenly died because guys okay, done, right? Ooh, vengeful God. I wouldn't want to cross that God, right? But that same God later, very later, right? More humble, more kind, more long-suffering, more faithful, more mild, more loving. What have we done with it all? He's allowed a lot of time to pass. A lot of time to pass. Hasn't shown himself to be a vindictive God just yet. Shown himself to be kind of kind, kind of nice, very merciful, very all-loving. Part of me wishes for the vengeful God. I'm not going to lie here. Sometimes I wish, can you just go back to your vengeful days? Let's take out the evildoer. Seriously, I'm ready for that. Are you ready for that? I'm ready for it. But just there's a scripture that talks about angels holding back the winds on the four corners of the earth, ready to cause destruction upon mankind. Well, I'm okay with you not destroying mankind. I just want to take out the evil ones. You understand what I'm saying? Take out all the evildoers, right? And what I believe is the really evil, heinous thing is the opposite end of all God, like all good angels, right? You get what I'm saying with this? Nobody likes to talk about the bad. Nobody likes it. It's like, oh, it's a horror flick. Horror flicks are there for a reason, people, especially the very debased ones, right? All evil. You understand? Hello, all evil. So all evil, we won't even give it a name. They don't deserve to have a name right now. Former angels turned bad. Let's put it like that, okay? The really heinous ones, the really diabolical ones, they just need to go. Get out of here. Like, seriously, just inhabit a bunch of swine and then jump off a cliff and return to the source, and there you go. Can we just do that again? Just seriously. Don't believe me? Look it up. What happened when well, again, former Jew made his own way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. He that believes in me will be what? Right? New way. But I know, Jewish nation, we're stiff-necked. We don't believe in that being the Messiah. Okay, fine. The Messiah will come eventually, one way or the other. Don't believe me? Look it up. Second coming. This is the Messiah they're still looking forward to. It's true. I love the Israelite nation. I love Jewish people. I really do. I love Jewish people. Whether they believed or didn't believe, I don't care. As long as they believe and they continue to believe, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I think they got forgiven. Did they? I'm sure they did. Everybody else gets forgiven, right? Okay, but back to reality. Back to reality. You've got an evil presence on this earth, and people are completely oblivious to it. And then others are completely aware of it. Some worship it outwardly. Do you have, like, yeah, I worship that God. The God's awesome. It's amazing, man. Beelzebub's his name. Yeah, I love that guy. It's great. Gives me powers, divination. Right? Some very extreme. And then there's a middle ground of extreme that you go, I'm pretty sure that person doesn't think all good. Like, they're all bad, more like evil, right? Like, who chops up their teacher's head? That's seriously. I said that's okay, I'm going to use the word they really take issue with that, don't they? Demoniacal, diabolically, demonal. Okay, take demonology out of the loop. Let's just say there were some diabolical creatures in that guy's head. Agree to disagree. I think they still exist. Agree to disagree. I think the majority of people don't want to call it that, but I agree to disagree. It's here on this earth, and it's really upping the ante. And I say, hey, angels out there, you ready? Let's start to take them all out. Seriously, I'm done. We're done. Done with this type of behavior. Done, 100% done. And you know what? It needs to be abolished right here, right now. True. All right, I get it. Some are like, whoa. What about the people? They're still good. Leave the good people. I mean, I think if more people realized there was more evil in the world, that if the evil was all gone, they'd be like, what do we do with ourselves? And then people without any demon presence in them are all of a sudden still worse and or bad and or doing some dumb stuff still. So you can't blame all, because I get it. There's some like, no, there's no demons. Well, and you know what? I probably agree with you, except I see where the world's going, and I'm telling you, there's some evil things out there. But there's this whole like free will thing, right? Even if you had free will and you didn't have like a demon in your ear or in your head or anywhere around, still probably do some dumb stuff, right? So there's that. At what point is it that or the other? Do you understand what I'm saying? At what point do you need to blame a demon and or your own head for just doing? So here's what I say. Stop throwing caution to the wind. Use your brain, your thinking brain, and keep doing the right thing. Because guess what? If the right thing is not the wrong thing, then you're on the right side of things. Meaning, is it helpful to your own brother and or your own sister and or your own family member and or your own community? Okay? Is it proper or is it improper? Just based on that. I know the majority of us do not want to behead somebody else. Not really. I mean, come on. Maybe you get really mad at somebody. You're like, man, I wish I could just take them out right now. I mean, there are people like that. I'm not going to lie. I've thought it on multiple occasions. I'm an imperfect person. Seriously, I am. Okay? I am an imperfect person. But I don't throw caution to the wind and go, okay, I'm going to go do that and we'll act on that, right? That I think that's another heinous act that happens in somewhere in the brain. Some call it a chemical imbalance. Others call it a diabolical scheme. I call it just they're not in the right mind, right? I saw reported this person is out of their mind or they're not in the right mind. I'm like, yeah, because if they were in the right mind, seriously, they wouldn't be doing this. There's some are hallucinogens, also known as I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it. Pharmaceutical drugs that can enhance that. There's other illegal drugs that can enhance that type of depravity or that evilness. There's other things that help lead you down the path of that as well, by the way. I'm not saying it's all diabolically demonite, but my point is this. For those that, are in a way kind of under the influence of whatever it is, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be pharmaceutical. Don't believe me? Look it up. Some of the symptoms of some of these antidepressants, suicidal thoughts. Well, how do suicidal thoughts come from a particular drug? That's so weird. It's like the suicidal thought of killing yourself suddenly got cohabitated with the chemical which pushes you to want to commit suicide. Or does it just make your body so sad, so depressed, so hopeless that you suddenly think suicide is the only choice in the matter? Do you understand? Agree or disagree? Those aren't angels. Those aren't good angels at your every corner, at your every help, trying to help you out. But you know what I think? I think angels are here, right now, and they're trying to help mankind, regardless of whether you want to believe in them or not. Don't believe me? Look at how many different things. There were so many circumstances and or stories. I bet you guys have your own stories as well of a event and or a time where either you were saved or you were directed to go the opposite way of the wrong way. Does that make sense? And you suddenly were saved. If you have a story, feel free to share it. There's a lot of stories I know of people going, no, I'm pretty sure something was protecting me. I don't know what it was, but it was protecting me, right? Contrary to popular belief, angels are pretty freaking huge. Okay, they're huge. They're strong. They're muscular. They're not these little baby cherubs. That's an artist rendition. I'm pretty sure each and every angel out there is like, why the heck would you make me like a little baby? I'm Almighty. Okay, I'm not Almighty the Almighty, but Almighty made me, and Almighty made me to be quite strong. You understand? I'm not a weakling, is what I think angels probably say. But do we cause our heavenly realm, angels, who we ask for help from, do we cause them undue anxiety and or stress? Meaning, no matter what they do, we got free will, right? You and I have free will. Thank goodness we have free will. Or is it? I say yes, of course, right? At least you could choose to decide what is right for you, right? And or somebody else. But here's the problem that everybody gets it mixed up on. They take free will and they say, oh, I'll just do whatever I want, no matter what the consequences are for somebody else and or myself. They don't think ahead. They don't think in the future tense. They don't think in the present tense. They don't even think, well, how's this action going to affect those around me and or those I love? They just don't bother to think. They just act. You understand? That's stupidity. That's what I talked about earlier on the morning show. There are stupid people out there that just don't think for themselves and or the people that they say they love. So each and every one of you, here's what I say to you. Try to do the right thing as much as it depends upon you. Okay. Think before you act and or speak. Think of how it may affect somebody else. And trust me, it is not easy. Okay. But if you just operate in this form and you wake up and you say a little blessing, okay, you say, Father, will you please help me do the right thing each and every day? It may be followed by a, in Jesus' name, amen. It may not be. Maybe you're Buddhist. Maybe you believe in another prophet. Maybe you believe in Allah. Look, different viewpoint. It doesn't matter. Allah, will you please help me to do the right thing this day? Right? So some pray more than Christianity, right? Like, what is it? 3 or 4 times a day, 5 times a day? More so than the average person. I'm like, that's not a bad thing. Constantly be thinking, right? And constantly be asking and constantly be requesting or constantly be reciting, whatever it is, whatever puts you in a good space. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people don't believe in that way. They just don't want to believe. And they're very all spiritual, which, hey, keep doing the right thing, not doing the wrong thing. You got my vote, right? So my point is this. Let's just remember this at the very end of the day. There's an evil presence there. Okay. It's there. It doesn't like to be identified. It's like, no, don't stop talking about me. That's how I envision them talking. But in reality is they're there. Okay. They're there. It's an invisible realm. Okay. Some think they're ghosts. They're not. That's different. That's a whole other supernatural thing. One doesn't have to do with the other all the time, although there's some really evil dead people too. But my point is this, okay? Focus on reality. Focus. In reality, we have to live with one another, okay? We really do. You and I have to live with one another. And however we live with one another, we got to do at least as much as possible. Try to do the right thing. All right? Just try. Just try. Wake up with that thought and go to bed saying, what did I do that was helpful or impactful to help at least one person in my life? And if you go to bed not helping anybody, that's okay. Did you help yourself at least in a good way? So you're not depressed, you're not mad, you're not sad, you're not angry, you're not upset, you're not mad with life. Because I know a lot of people, yours truly as well, that has been quite upset with life, right? I have been upset on numerous occasions, but I have to remind myself of this. I'm not alone. And there are people living on the streets right here, right now, that if you take a drive, I live in LA, okay? In LA, you take a drive down to downtown LA, you will see tents on the side of the road of people living in tents. No air conditioning. No protection from the elements other than being in your own tent, right? Striving to find some money on the street and or beg and or ask for money. If you're watching this show, I can guarantee you're not that type of homeless. You might be homeless living on somebody's couch, but that is not living on the streets homeless. I can almost guarantee you the majority of homeless do not watch the morning show. Not really. You might be on borderline homeless. I get that. Then team up and or group up with somebody else that can help you out. Reach out to somebody and say, hey, can you help me out? Don't be so stubborn to ask for help. Unfortunately, and I can't speak for every homeless person, there have been a couple that I have approached and or have approached me. And I said, do you have at least a family member that you can reach out to? Yeah, I hate them. Oh, okay. Why don't you call them and ask them for help? No, I don't know. Nah. You're living on the street begging for money. You're the last one to say you can't ask for help. I'm good. And they walk off. Now, I had a conversation with a younger man, who probably not older than 33, approached me, tattered shirt, tattered pants, tattered, everything tattered, asked me for some money. I gave him what I had in my pocket. He came back, had a longer conversation. I asked about his mother, and his mother, he says, oh, my mom, she hates me. She abused me. She's an evil woman. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, I understand. Do you have a sister or a brother? Well, I have a sister. Well, she can't stand me. Well, did you mention your situation? And then he stopped to think. Sometimes people don't know your current situation. Sometimes you think they don't care. They just lost track of you. And then there are some that are quite homeless that don't take all their medication. Okay. I know because I had an uncle who didn't take his medication. And instead of just swallowing his pride, taking the medication to help calm his issues, he ended up dying homeless. To this day, it pains me to know that. It pains me to think, what could we have done? I talk a lot about, but he was, it became bad for his mother, who was my grandmother. She tried to give him a place to stay, but he turned on her more than once. And I'm sure now that he's in the other, well, it doesn't matter what I believe, but I'm pretty sure he felt a lot of shame in the end. And I know it because I remember approaching him once, or he approached me on the sidewalk, and he welled up in tears. And I said, look, here's the $20. No, that's all right. He said, This was a man who raised me at a very young age. At the age of like young, 1.5, we watched Godzilla together. I'm told, I don't remember it, but I loved him. Uncle Ralph was what his name was. And Uncle Ralph had such a kind heart. You saw Ralph and you just knew this man was hurting inside, hurting at the very depths of his soul, hurting. You could see it in his eyes. There was a despair there that I don't wish that upon anybody. And there's a lot of those that are currently in this homeless state, which have a despair in their eyes, that have just no hope. There's no hope in their eyes. They're just going through life. I don't know what to do. Just figuring out a way to find a place to sleep at, and or get some food, and or smoke a pack of cigarettes, and or alcohol, and or just to make do with less. The reason I share that, though, is you and I have it quite well, do we not? If you have a data speed plan, we can at least pick ourselves up, right? You're watching me online, you can pick yourself up. You can. Don't let it get to the point where you become so stubborn. I love my Uncle Ralph. I do. But I think somewhere along the way, he let his pride get the best of him. Instead of admitting, yeah, I need to take my pills and I need to be on a regular schedule and I need to take all of them. I cannot not get off. I can't get off them, even though they don't make me feel good, because they keep my family safe. They keep them safe from my own brain. That's why I'm sometimes, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, I'm all for, okay? When you have extreme cases like that, there are some pharmaceuticals that really help calm the individual's mind so that they do not act out of haste and or anger and or a debilitating disease known as schizophrenia. He, my friends, suffered from schizophrenia. Many will say they hear voices. My stepfather suffered from the same thing. They hear voices. Well, what do the voices tell you? To do good and or bad? No, oftentimes to kill yourself. You know that's a common trait among certain schizophrenics, by the way. Did you know that? I say go take the medication, right? But they fight it. They fight it. You ever see one on the street? If you live in Middle America, you probably don't know. But if you live on the West Side here, you will see them suddenly shout at something that's not there, right? They're like, you little, and they're constantly fighting with it, right? Some would say, well, that's a chemical imbalance in the brain. I say, you know what? Whatever it is, it's definitely diabolical, right? Yeah, telling you to kill yourself and or do harm to somebody else. I can almost guarantee the person who cut off the man's head, was it a man? It is a teacher. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I don't even think I want to know. Okay, not well in the head, that's for sure. Well, I don't care what you call it. I think back in Jesus' day, they wouldn't have called it schizophrenia. They would have called demon possessed, right? In Jesus' day, they didn't have terms like that. Oh, he's schizophrenic. This is just say, nope, he was demon possessed. And I say that's neither here nor there, because people need help, regardless of what you want to label it. They need help. Some get help through pharmaceuticals that help calm their mind, right? I'm all for mental health and mental wellness. I am all for it. I don't care what you call it. Some clergy members like, no, they're demon possessed. No, they just need a particular drug to help them out. Come on. It's like, don't be that person, right? Some are just biologically, chemically imbalanced. It's a thing, because once you bring in the right chemicals and you are able to circumvent it, guess what? They're all of a sudden quite normal. They could be a functioning member of society. It's true. Charles Manson, though, I got my theories out on that one. That Charles Manson, I'm sorry, people. I don't think that was a chemical imbalance. I think that was truly something diabolical. You look at that man, you could be like, oh, that guy's so much evil in that guy. No, thank you. All right. Let's see. Renee says magnetic electric coil therapy, it works. Magnetic therapy as well to get them in the right direction. All right. I'm not opposed to that. I've actually done some research on that, by the way. He's actually more right than wrong on that, by the way. Just so you know. The energy, very interesting. Okay. I'm not talking about like way back in the day when they used to like lobotomize. I'm not talking about that type of therapy, right? But magnetic electric coil therapy. It's a very interesting subject. Very interesting. I remember meeting the maker of a bed, which had it would take the Earth's magnetic. For those that don't know about the Earth is actually a conductor, okay, of energy all the time. You can receive energy, good energy from it as it revolves clockwise, not counterclockwise. That's why the Earth revolves clockwise. Anyway, long story short, it's like alternating current. That's why Tesla did such a great thing with it. So you hook up a really cool thing to the outside of Earth's magnetic core. Let's just call it that. The core is the real generator of the energy, along with the heat of the lava, right? And so much more. There's so many minerals and elements that are beneath the Earth's surface. It is just a world of energy turning. You've got a generator at the very heart of the Earth. You understand that? So, and it's generating an electromagnetic pulse around to help keep all of the solar flares and or the solar winds away at bay with its own electromagnetic like sphere of awesomeness. Let's just call it that, okay? For those that are untrained in the subject. But they have the ability to connect to the Earth's energy. Let's just put it blatantly like that. It's a very simplified term than most people realize. And draw it into a bed, which helps generate that same Earth core. It's like when people say they want to ground themselves and they want to walk out onto the grass and or these. It's different when you walk on the cement than when you walk on grass and or dirt, right? You are closer to the Earth's magnetic force and or drawing in the proper. Because we're all energy beings. I just had this conversation with my mom. We are all energy beings. If you don't believe me, go touch an old TV. Do you remember the old TVs? They're all staticky, and you'd be like, "Hey, Johnny, go do the antenna." They go do the antenna. The antenna would like get fixed, and then be like, "Don't move. You got it just right." Because we are a conductor of energy, right? You don't believe me? Like airwaves, actually, we conduct it. Like you ever shock somebody? You shock somebody, they shock you, right? Right. You just generate enough electricity in your body to suddenly, because you maybe rub your feet on carpet, and you're generating static electricity being built up in your body, and you go and you shock yourself if you touch a metal. Right. And that's why they say whenever you're like fixing computers, be careful because you can give an electromagnetic static charge to a device, thereby frying it because you're a conductor of electrical charges in your body. Don't believe me? Your brain lights up amazingly so that in order for them to like make connections from one synapse to make a connection to another like neuron with a what do they call it? Neuron? Proton? No, that's another type of science. But neurology, there you go. Neurology is electricity shooting from one section to another, generating enough electricity to be built up in the brain to be able to stimulate and or make connections faster and smoother. But then there's proteins in the body that you need in order to create new memories versus old memories. It's amazing, the brain mind body influence. I've done the research, and I love to have those type of conversations with very smart people that get it. For other people, they're like, what the heck are you talking about? To which I say, get a neurologist in the room, get a scientist, biofeedback scientist in the room, and boy, you will be like, oh. There was this test done. It was amazing of how they were able to squash fears in people. It was on Nova. Okay. It was really cool. I should look it up. But they squashed the fears. Let me see if I can look it up. Fears Brain Nova. It was a really good documentary on body and brain. Or maybe it was Memory Hackers. Maybe it was this one. February 1st, 2016. Memory Hackers. It might be it. Where you can also make somebody think that they thought something, but not really actually brainwashing them. It's a thing. That's I think a different subject. But there's a protein, and they've studied this because the brain creates little pathways, and they can see it now. I mean, it's very invisible to the naked eye. You got to have like really cool, like, magnifier. But the brain creates it needs a certain amount of protein to create new memories. You understand? And these memories actually grow in the brain. And then there's an electromagnetic charge that connects from one to the other. Very interesting stuff. But you can actually get rid of a fear by creating an opposite reaction. So there was like, let me type in tarantula. There was, I don't know if you're afraid of tarantulas. Here it is. Spider phobia cure with 2-hour therapy. Fear in brain. Okay, this is an article, by the way, and this is true stuff. It was featured on PBS. Very, very interesting. But they let me read this. Okay, getting up close and personal with a furry tarantula is probably the very last thing someone with a spider phobia would opt for. But the encounter may be the ticket to busting the brain's resistance to arachnids. A tried and true exposure therapy. It lasts just hours. Changed activity in the brain's fear regions just minutes after the session was complete. That's according to researchers. Lead study author Katharina Hauner, postdoctoral fellow in neurology at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine, said before treatment, some of these participants wouldn't walk on grass for fear of spiders or would stay out of their home or dorm room for days if they thought a spider was present. After a single therapy session lasting up to 3 hours, they were able to walk right up and touch or hold a tarantula, and they could still touch it after 6 months. Spider phobia is a type of anxiety disorder. But hold on. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. MRI. Okay. This might not be it, but this might be one coupled with it. So what they did was, in this other one that I was looking at, they would give these participants a certain protein that the brain needs in order to build a new connection, counterbalancing what was a previous fear, which resulted in the brain. It was an unemotional. It was an emotional response to something that, when you take all logic and take out the emotion, you can actually do that. Honestly, right away. But they were proving it through chemical balances. Okay, but there's a way to do it. It's called taking the emotion away from the fear. Because fear is an emotion, you get it. So you got to separate the two. Don't believe me? Look it up. There's people that can biohack the brain. I don't want to do it right here. I've done it with 3 people, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh wow, I feel differently about this." It's a thing. It can be done because there's called also not just science of the brain, but there's also what they call subconscious brain activity, which happens where sometimes we do things on the whim and we wonder why, because there's something in the brain that is kind of creating you to do things at the spur of a moment. Okay, let me give you an example of that. Subconscious activity is very interesting. For example, okay, I'm gonna say a word. You say the first thing that comes to your head. Okay, you ready? For the first word, just blurt it out. You might even be surprised by the results of it. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna give you a series of words. Okay, there's a total of 8 words I'm gonna give you. You ready? Okay, here we go. Good. Great. Life. Judge. Watermelon. Death. And the last one is gorgeous. Now, Maria's actually typing out. I probably should have had you guys do that. That would have been smart, right? Okay, but let's go to Maria. What was the first word I said? Does anybody remember? Let's see. So Maria said dangerous. Let's see. Life, day, happiness, fruit, scared. I think I missed one. Okay, that's all right. But here's the point of that exercise, okay? You will have words that come from your subconscious mind that will be relatable to the word that you just heard. And it's interesting what you'll get sometimes. You'll sometimes find things out about yourself you had no idea of. Here's another one, okay? Anybody that wants to participate, here we go. I'm actually going to type it out, okay? I'm going to type it out. Here we go. And I'll say it. But the first thing that comes, don't overthink it. Just say it. And no judgment. No judgment. Okay. The first one is this. Family. First thing that comes to your head. Just type it out. And don't pick somebody else's. If you don't want to voice it out, that's fine too. The next one is, I don't know. Some of you might. Well, it doesn't matter. Again, it's a word. Don't worry about it. Wife. Okay. The next word, as you guys type that out, I'm sure you guys have that, is this. Well, that one didn't go to all of them, but that's okay. The next word is children. Okay. Let's see. The next one is life. And the next one is the word beautiful. Now, depending on how you answered those, will also dictate something that you didn't know about yourself, by the way. And or you had an inkling of, right? But to somebody else, it might mean something different. Now, let's see. Yeah, let's see. So I said family. Maria says love. See that? And I can almost guarantee you, just knowing or not knowing you, you love your family 100%. Let's see. Penelope says fun to wife. Was that to wife or family? Maria, let's see, wife, kids. Okay, so there's an I can tell you right now about Maria without knowing Maria. 100% close with her children. 100%. Because as a wife, she views her kids as the most important thing to be as a wife. Guaranteed. Right? Okay, let's see. Children. Now, Penelope answered something differently. It said husband. Which is interesting. Or it was to wife, and maybe it was delayed. It probably was, and which makes sense because wife or husband, like, right? There's a husband-wife duo there. And then Judy said kids, and it might have been to children or life. I'm not sure. Let's see. Mario says baby. To which I just want to throw this out there. I think Mario wants a baby. Just saying. Maybe not. Maybe has a baby in her life. Maybe. It's interesting what you get, right? Sometimes we don't know everything into it. But interesting when I said the word death. It's weird how certain things come to your brain, right? Death. Now, Maria said God. And that's an interesting pairing, by the way. Very interesting pairing. Because I think if you ask Maria, like on her belief system, well, do you believe God brings about the death of people? Perhaps. But you see, there's so much the subconscious mind does things like that on the spur of a moment. You say, do this, do that, do this, do that. Some people like, no, I don't want to. Right? You tell them, caution, don't throw caution in the wind. Well, no, I should throw. Wait, what? Right? But most people get that. Don't throw caution to the wind. Okay, be safe. Be safe, not sorry. You see, that's why I use very simple subtext. I can be all calculating and say a lot of words, but sometimes you make it simple. It's easier for people to understand. You understand that? But on the flip side of that, that's what Trump does. If you don't look at how he says certain things in his simple syntax, does the same thing, people. Does the same thing. He says it 3 times for emphasis, by the way. Don't believe me? Look at what he says. It's good, really good, very good. So therefore, your brain goes, well, that's good. That happens for about 85% of the population of those that vote for him, by the way. They just, right? Don't believe me? I could prove it to you right here, right now. Mario says, I have to tell you, get me. I can, just based on the things that you're saying. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's interesting. The mind is a fascinating thing. The words that you say and based on the words that you automatically come up with your brain, you'll even find things about yourself. You're like, I did not realize I thought like that. It's really weird. But I can also in the same sentence end up changing your word structure like that. You ready? This is a great experiment, social experiment 101. Okay, you ready? All of you still there? Okay, here we go. All right. What if I told you a story? Here's the story. In life, there was a man. The man was a beautiful man, and he met this gorgeous woman. The gorgeous woman said to him one day, she said, you know what? I want to have a child with you one day. And although I know you're not a good man, you might be beautiful. I just want your DNA, because your DNA actually is going to help me have a beautiful child. You know what? And I don't need you to tell me what to do. In fact, I don't even need to marry you. I'm actually going to stay separate from you because I am such a good, beautiful, wonderful, amazing, and fantastically gorgeous. I'm the most gorgeous woman I know in life, that I'm pretty sure our DNA together is going to make this child amazingly a good human being, because I'm pretty smart, I'm pretty intelligent, I'm pretty fantastic in my own right, and I love myself so much that I can honestly say you're a terrible human being, but man, your DNA is so beautiful. Like on the outward, I just want my beautiful DNA to be mixed with your beautiful DNA, and then I could go and put like a bunch of good stuff into this kid, and I don't even need you around. I just need your DNA sample. Can I have that? And so she walks away. And she says, you know what? Whew, I'm so glad I got that DNA sample, because I would hate to be married to that man. That man is terrible. He's just a very bad man. Terrible man. I just, not evil, just terrible. He's a terrible human being. Just terrible. And I wouldn't want my kid to grow up like him. And off she goes, gets, assimilate. What do they call it? In vitro. What's it called? It's a word for it. What's the word called? In vitro. Yeah, that one. Simulate. Stimulate. Which is it? Stimulated. Not stimulated. Not stimulated enough to be simulated. In vitro. Got it. So she gets the in vitro injection. Boop, done. Pregnant overnight. The child grows up 25 years old. All of a sudden says, I hate you, Mom. What? Do you not know what lengths I went to go get your DNA sample to make you as an amazingly human being as possible? I made you an amazing human being. What is wrong with you? Yeah, but I don't know my dad. So I hate you, Mom. What to do? I just did all this work for you, young kid. You are such an ungrateful little tyrant. How dare you? I went above and beyond. Most people just they get in bed with somebody, they don't even know what the kid's going to turn out to. I put so much thought into you. I wanted you to be a good. Now stop. All right, you ready? Here we go. It's a story, okay? Don't read into it anymore. Here we go. 5 words I'm going to give you. First 5 words that come to your head. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The first word is love. Go. First word. Type it out. I'll give you guys time. Don't overthink it. Just the first word that came to your head. Okay? All right. I'll give you guys some more time. Ooh. Interesting. All right. The next word is jury. Type it out. All right, give you guys some time there. Be honest. Be honest. Just it goes to show you. All right. I give you a little bit more time. Here we go. Okay, next word is gorgeous. Wait for it. Okay. All right. And the next word is child. Okay. Renee, I know you're overthinking it, by the way, because those words don't even make sense. So you're overthinking it, but that's okay. Okay. All right. And the next word is, wait for it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what's the result? Just the first thing that pops in your head. And what you'll find is some are very consistent with what you did earlier, but all of a sudden, some just completely went left field with that. And it was actually, I don't know if you guys caught it, but it was the first word that I said. And it was love. Maria said family, Judy said hate, and Penelope said hate. The opposite of love. You know why? There was something in that story you really didn't like. And although it looked like it was loving, it was actually, in the end result, I threw in the I hate you, Mom. That was the first thing in your head and first thing to come out. To you, you identified yourself as that mother, giving that child something. But the first result of your end result is the word hate resonated so much with you. Instead of thinking something with love, you automatically went to hate. And there it is. And that's how the president is getting so many people to become hateful, spiteful, resisting change, pointing out things and people that are technically already there, but he's feeding the fuel. You understand? Very interesting, huh? It's a thing. It's a phenomenon called subliminal subtext. And look, it's called wiring of the mind, right? But some of you held the latter ones were not really the issue. It was the first one. You understand? It was the first one. But there you go. It's very interesting what people do when and it just look at your past answers and all of a sudden they change like that. You're like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting, right? Again, we're all susceptible. So be careful what is in your mind susceptibly. What you feed it is what you'll get out of it eventually. So feed it good, feed it nourishment, feed it encouragement, feed it amazingly so everything that it needs in the brain. Okay, I'll tell you one last story and then I'll be gone. Okay, because I don't want to leave you with that story. Here's the story to help. You ready? Here you go. In life, there was a particular man. And in this man, people honestly couldn't stand the guy. They couldn't stand him because he was a pushover. He was such a pushover that he honestly, he would go throughout life and he'd say, hey, can I help you up? And the person would say, yeah, you can help me up, but only if you give me a buck. He'd say, you know what? Here's a buck and I'll help you up. How about that? And then the person said, well, thank you. I appreciate you. And then the person would walk off and say nothing more. No, thank you. No appreciation. No, nothing. It was the weirdest thing. And so the man went about his day. The very evening almost dark. It was almost pitch black. Okay, it's pitch black. You're like, whoa, I can't see out here. There was no moon out. The stars were very non-starry like. And all of a sudden, there was a child that came to him, and the child says, I can't find my mother. Can you help me find my mom? He says, you know what? I certainly cannot. For I just met somebody who just wanted something from me. I can't help you out. You might be looking like an innocent child, but I don't know that you're an innocent child. You could be a very bad, evil, harmful demon. What? No, wait. That's just a child, for crying out loud. I'm only 8. I don't care. I can't see you. It's very pitch black out here. I don't even know. You sound like a little child, but I don't know. You could be a demon. Right? And so the little child's like, all of a sudden, a little car actually like makes an entranceway, and you see out of it walks the mother. Mijo, I can't believe you're here. What are you? I'm sorry for this evil man. He's so mean. He's just saying, here, he's trying to help me find you, but you didn't help me at all. It's a bad man. How dare you? You evil, ungrateful man. What? I didn't know. He just was why. Oh, man. And the woman, well, took off and left, obviously. You know, just poor kid. Seriously. This is, Well, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, that was just a horrendous story. Except, here's the moral of the story. Some of us are so kind, so nice, that sometimes we let the wrong person make us bitter, ungrateful, and untrusting. Wait, untrusting or untrustworthy? If you've let a very harmful time in your life make you what you used to be known as a very kind, gentle heart, suddenly be very bitter, cold, and calculating, you have to unwind a little. Now, I get it. Some situations you need to be cold, calculating, and maybe not bitter, but at least be like, hey, I call a spade a spade. You're an evil man. But I see you. I sense you. I hear you. I could see the harm that you're doing, but I know who you are. Well, then that's different. Okay. You call out a spade a spade. But to a person who just needs help, don't be that person. Be loving, be kind, and even be faithful, right? I'm pretty sure God wants you to help that young child find his mother. Whether they are in the dark, you don't see them, you can't see them. Maybe you're blind. Maybe you're blind to kind acts because you're so bitter, so mad, and so angry with your life. You just know. I get walked on by everybody. So you know what? I'm just not going to think about anybody now because I'm just so fed up with life, and I'm fed up with being pushed over. I'm fed up. I'm so fed up. I don't want to believe in anything anymore because anytime I do, I get hurt in the process. I don't want to do it anymore. That's it. I'm done. Finito. Finis. Hasta luego. Bye-bye. Any good act? Forget it. I'm going to do all bad. I'm going to do bad. So much so, I'll never get taken advantage of. There you go. That's a good part of our prison population, by the way. And the majority of the prison population used to be kind, used to be loving, used to be faithful, used to be until they just got pushed in such a way that they just finally get fed up and don't care about life anymore and or another human being. Don't believe me? Look it up. My point in saying that is this. No matter what life throws at you, no matter who ends up causing you to feel bad in your heart, appreciate there are people out there that need your help. Because I'm pretty sure if a little child came to you and said, can you help me find my mom? What would be the first thing you would do? Yeah. So do that. Okay. Don't hold back from doing good. Do not hold back from something that is in your power to do good when you ought to do it. Do good. All right, people. My time is up. Make it a great day. Whatever you do, remember life is worth living. Live it well. And remember, your words are more powerful when you have a good emotion behind it. So if you want to be loving, don't just say it. Don't just preach it. Don't just proclaim it. put some thought, feeling, and fellow feeling into it as well. And you'll find you're more understanding of people in their own situation, whatever path they may walk in. Whether you agree or disagree, you know that we're all in it together. All right, people, make it a great day. Remember, life is worth living, so live it well. Bye-bye.